Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. Austin Holleman taught us something. You see the title, and I'm going to tell you what we can learn from him. Don't cam up and give your real name. Now, how we could have known this is something that many could have seen and maybe warned him about. But last year, I went on Patreon, and then I tried again this year. On YouTube for free, I have a video up called Malice. Let me see what. Let me get the name of that right quick. Malice as a Motive, Part 1. And that's on YouTube for free. But the follow-up to it is on my Buy Me a Coffee. I mean, they closed both Patreon accounts, so that's over. But Malice as a Motive, Part 2 is on Buy Me a Coffee. I posted that one on the 5th, 9 days ago. When I tell you all to subscribe, I don't just do it to get money. I do want the money, but I offer substance in exchange. And I talked about something similar to exactly this. And if 100 black men had watched that, the word would have gotten around. These are the things we need to look for. Whenever you take a path that is morally right and their interest vested in the wrong path, you're going to have enemies. Enemies will do things to sabotage you. We already know that these ladies are lying about how unbothered they are, that a bunch of us are either mentally checking out or physically checking out with passports. They say we're so unbothered, we really don't care. They can't stop talking about how unbothered they are. Now, we admit that women are important. So I talk about women so that you understand how this important part of life is at war with you in the West. That's the reason I discuss them. We're not designed to ignore women. They're not designed to ignore us. But since they're at war with you where you live, I have to discuss that war. I mean, they're important to men and we're important to them. We're literally like, I wouldn't even say like a rib. We're like a liver. But in the West, those women are like a liver that instead of upholding you and filtering things out, what they do instead is they fail. They falsely accuse you of alcoholism so that they can justify their failure. They grow into a cancer. And when you're sitting up and saying, I'm drinking water, you dumb broad, I'm drinking fruit juice, I'm drinking tea, I'm drinking coffee, filter this stuff, stop playing, stop failing. They sit up and say, you're not leading right. That's not water, that's vodka. I ain't doing nothing. And they just keep doing that. And you're sitting up looking at them like, you dumb broad, this is water and fruit juice and tea and coffee. That's vodka and that's whiskey and that's amaretto. But in anything to not work while still demanding to be fed. Since they're at war with you, I have to talk about them. See, my goal in talking about women is not just to dwell on the women. It's not that. It doesn't work anyway. It wouldn't change anything. It would help anything. They'll just fight you. My goal when I talk about women is vastly different. Of course, it is for you to be ready for the war that they're in against you and be prepared for it and to take the proper evasive action. I don't even want you necessarily lobbing weapons at them, things like that. I want you to be able to be evasive under the radar and then be able to disappear. And I talked about that not only in Malice as a Motive Part 2, I talked about it in Travel Tips 2 and 3. I talked about it in Prepare for Hyena Sabotage Attempts. That's why I talked about these things. I also talk about the incomplete reform that a lot of African-American women are going to take on as they get older. They won't do this when they are Taraji P. Henson's age, when she made Baby Boy. They will only do this when they reach her current age. The age of Vivica Fox when she filmed Two Can Play That Game. It's not the age at which they're going to reform. It has to be now when it dried up. Like as I stated, I'm into MILFs. And you know what? When you're a guy that's actually into that, then they turn around and act like they did when they were younger. What does that tell you? So since they're it's not just about them not picking you, it's about even the incomplete reform. It's about them pretty much sitting up and saying, you are never going to be any good except to raise the idness his kids. Only that, just that, never any better for you. When you take this path, it is just like when you take other moral paths, they become interested in your downfall. White folk need us, but when we start talking about leaving, they will do things to stop you in a nutshell. But and now they really can't. They decided, well, we'll replace you guys. But genders can't replace each other. No matter how many races there are only two genders. So they know they cannot replace you. And you're not trying to replace the gender. You're trying to replace a cultural block within the same gender. They are looking to actually use you, and they're not even trying to replace you. They want to use you, and that's it. And I'm telling you guys, when I do put something behind the paywall, it's not that expensive. That's why I do it for $10 a month. Unless you want to download them individually at Odyssey and pay more. I do that. And that is because, you know what, I might start making them available on the Passport Bros app for less. I might do that. But when you do that, when you decide I'm not going to even like try to listen, I'm certainly not going to share this with anybody, well, then you defeat our purpose, which is to fight back and to win, and to fight back in an evasive manner, because that's how they are. See, when I said the lesson we learned is don't cam up and put your real name on there, feminists don't necessarily always do that. Now, they can do more and get away with it, but they don't put their whole full name. I mean, Cynthia G ain't told us her first and last name. Somebody may have it, but she ain't on the channel talking about that. Somebody would have said it if they were. If she was, somebody would have talked about it. See, Bookie has had his name given by Grinch, and he posted a picture up with the last name Coates on his army uniform, but he didn't, I don't think he said to us his full name. And even then, he's on the wrong side, so it's not the same sacrifice, but you're on the right side if you're in this audience listening, and you know what I mean. If you're actually with us, you're on the right side, but the issue is that in being on the right side with us, you must also remember, you put your name and your face out there, you better have a law degree so you can sue people. Dennis Sperling has that. So, Attorney Sperling, for you to cam up, give your real name, that's fine. Everybody can't do that. I'd be stupid to do that. I'll be stupid to cam up or give my real name. Austin Holleman is in his 20s. He wasn't fully aware of this, but he cammed up and he gave his real name, and he did it early on before he knew. However, he's not a lawyer. So I was glad to see that while I was recording and talking about actually the difference between Austin Holleman and Dennis Sperling, camming up and giving their real names, that was last night. This morning I woke up and I was glad to see that the two talked. Maybe now it will be more difficult to do things against Austin Holleman. But I want you all to take notice of what happened. By giving his face and real name, a feminist was able to successfully run him out of his favorite place, Salvador de Bahia in Brazil. And then later on, another was able to block him from going to Nicaragua, not any other place he was going to go to, but specifically Nicaragua because he was going to visit his family. Sick of this. I'm tired of this. I don't want to see you guys continuously go through the same thing again and again and again and again, but some of you can easily be goaded into doing exactly what your enemies want. And your enemies don't play by the same rules. Even when they can, they don't play by the same rules. They want to sit up and say, see how fast we're going, see how quickly we're moving. We just scoring all these goals against you. Yeah, but the field is uneven. They're running downhill. You got to run uphill. They kick the ball, rolls the rest of the way from downhill, going into your half of the field. You kick, it rolls uphill and then stops and rolls back downhill. That's what goes on. It's always like that. And they sit up and brag about it. And then sometimes people come along and they tell you, okay, cam up. Well, camming up is one thing, but don't turn around and give your whole name. Many people cam up, but they don't give their whole names and make it easy for the enemies. Now, I don't agree with the people who say cam up, but when they say cam up, they don't say give your name first and last. They normally want you to prove something with your appearance. But they're not even saying, the ones that are in the manosphere bickering with each other are not doing this. They're not saying give your whole name and then cam up and dox yourself. They're not saying to do that. They're saying just show us yourself. I don't agree with that. But understand that if you take that too far, then what's going to happen next is that your enemies are sitting back and laughing. If they do dox themselves, they do it sparingly because they may cam up, but they don't give you their real names. And if they do, it doesn't have the same damage. Sabri Rawls did mess up and post with a name and a picture. And then the next thing that we know, she's complaining about black men making her lose a job when it was women that called in. Y'all get it? You guys got it bad. Many of us are still unaware of their sabotage attempts. And that's why I recorded these things and uploaded them. Malice as a Motive Part 1 is free on YouTube from over a year ago. Malice as a Motive Part 2 is not, and it shouldn't be. It's cheap, but it's not free. It comes with a bunch of other things, so it averages out to be not that expensive, quite cheap actually, but it is not free. And sometimes good information just isn't. Lawyers don't sit up here and tell you everything and not charge a consultation fee. And I don't teach English for free. And I will not. I don't even teach it for a low price. Pay handsomely. If not, I'll just give you some pamphlets or something it'll correct some misconceptions about English for you. I'll give you those for a low price. That's it. You be teaching yourself trying to save money. Don't play games with me. I don't have to. I want you guys, though, to start thinking strategically. Stop underestimating their malice and their motive. Stop it. Keep focused on what it is you want to be able to get out of there if you can. Start your business and your family outside of not only the U.S., but the West in general. And you're not allowed that easily. Once you mess around and do like what Mr. Holleman did, because he's new. He may be true, but he is new. But because he did that, he was stopped from staying in his favorite place and then stopped from visiting his family in Nicaragua. And people can do that. A phone call can mess somebody's trip up to a particular country. I almost did that to a Saudi who was going to travel to Ghana, calling us slaves. I straight told him, I'm going to abuse you. But understand that if you mess around here, because I've got your first name and your last name, you mess around and retaliate because you already called us slaves. You mess around and retaliate. I'm calling the embassy and telling them in fluent English as a black American what you said. And they're going to cancel your visa. Now, if you take this and you eat it because you deserve it, then I won't make a phone call. And he agreed. He said, okay, you know what? I earned it, unload. So I didn't call the embassy. I kept my word. I unloaded on him. Didn't take that long. But I could have easily done that. You all think, many people that are ADOS think that the black world is completely divided. It's actually not. There's actually quite a lot of cooperation between black people of different nationalities. A lot of times there's even a blood relationship, believe it or not. That's my black experience. My black experience is black and international. It ain't just Harlem and New Orleans and Detroit, Michigan and Charleston. No, it ain't just that. Men Americans don't like us and they stink. Charleston white on that foolishness, man. That's not my black experience. My black experience is everybody stank. Better put on some deodorant. That's everybody. My black experience is if you ain't got running water, you're going to smell a certain way. But my black experience is also that we cooperate with each other, and there's a way that black folk tend to not get along and to get along. It's both. That's been mine. So I could have easily done that to stop this Saudi. So it is easy to stop people from going to a particular country if they're not already citizens. If they don't have a record and a history in that country of behaving themselves well, it's easy to stop somebody from going into a particular country for their first time. And that's what these broads are doing. Now, whoever made this phone call is not going to cam up and get a real name so that Austin can retaliate, are they? Is she going to do it? Or he? And if they do, they're going to do it in the context in which they're protected. You cannot be goaded into stepping out there in a context in which you are not protected. Dennis Sperling is an attorney. So if you're going to do this, retain him and get ready to start suing some folks. Stop underestimating what they're willing to do to you. And if you really want to know more, you need to go on ahead and subscribe. You can try for 2 months. If you don't like it, you'll be able to cancel. I never asked someone to cancel to come back in, but you could do that. You can listen. You can learn something. You can learn first you can learn something about the motives, the malice that they have as a motive. You can then also turn around and learn something else. You can learn about what they're willing to do and what some of their sabotage attempts are. I learned this from guys that had this happen to them. You can learn about things you can do to evade and avoid that. You can learn about things that, not only that, you can actually learn which hyenas are the most dangerous. These things are surprising information. I did not make that free, and I should not have to. Therefore, go ahead and cough it up and then share the information with someone. You can share the link if you want them to subscribe. You can just repeat the information if you want them to benefit from that particular piece. If they ask where'd you find it out, then you can say, well, you want to subscribe to it or not? No. Okay, don't worry about it. Then take my word for it. Yeah, I'll subscribe. Okay, send them the link. But you're free to repeat the information. What am I going to do? Police and say, hey, don't share that with anybody that didn't pay? No. You can sit up and say, hey, man, look, now that you got your passport, this is the next step, because I know some of these people that know you, and I know what they're willing to do in order to stop you from being able to leave. You've seen the retaliations against passport bros and how it's even going against guys that weren't passport bros. They just had passports and were going to travel somewhere for a particular reason. A married man went to Chile, got stabbed for taking pictures. He was a married man, and they were just bashing passport bros, talking about we deserve that. So when you see that, that tells you something. I had time to think about it. At that time, I did. I wrote out a statement. I recorded it. I uploaded it for your benefit. If 100 of us had heard about that at that time, Austin would have been better informed at this point. Now, I don't expect Austin to know about me. He's probably forgotten about me at this point. I don't expect him to know about Black Mind or to remember that he gave a shout out to Black Mind or said hello to Black Mind on one of his lives. There's no way he can remember that. He's not supposed to. But if 100 of us had seen what I said, this info would have gone around. There's no way he would have missed it. And then he would have, instead of saying, I'm going to Nicaragua to see my family, he would have been like, yeah, man, I'm finna go to Costa Rica to see the family, or I'm going to Panama to see the family. And they would have called Costa Rica or Panama instead, someplace he didn't want to go. And then he would have gone into Nicaragua, met his family, and he'd have been posting up, yeah, man, I'm in Nicaragua. Things are nice here. I know I said I was going to X, Y, and Z, but come on, was I supposed to really say where I was going to be before I get there and put my family out there like that? He would have known. And some divesta feminista misandrista would have been fuming. Grrr, he tricked me. Bam right, ditch. Because that's who the huck we are. I hope that what I've said is a benefit. I hope it helps. Thank you all for listening. As always, Black Heart, Black Mind, Blackout. Assalamu alaikum. Black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it. Black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day. And hit the subscribe button on Buy Me a Coffee. Go ahead and do that. And get on the Passport Bros app because I'll put some stuff on there too. I might make it a little bit cheaper if you get a paid subscription to the Passport Bros app. You don't have to, but I'll put some things on there as well. There's some things I'm not going to be putting on YouTube, so you're going to have to subscribe to get some things that you can use to help out other people. It's not going to make me rich. Don't worry, you're not going to be funding a hedonistic lifestyle or anything like that. I don't expect to make that much. But I got a good reason for doing that. Thank you for flying again with us here on Jet Black Airways, where jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us until the wings and the wheels fall off. And to the first class flyers who already subscribed, thank you 1,000 times over. Gender justice forever.